Uh, okay. Hi, everyone. We are very happy to have our third ELSA talk of this year, and that's on AI, science, and feminism, some ethical concerns. And today we're very happy to have Dr. Tamanna Khosla with us. Just starting with a brief introduction of our speaker. Dr. Tamanna Khosla is a scholar in political theory and political philosophy, and she has a focus on multiculturalism and feminism. With degrees from Lady Shri Ram, Jawaharlal Nehru University, and she's currently pursuing law. She's also taught at Delhi University for a couple of years and has a lot of influential books to her credit. And those books span across law and feminism, particularly personal law in India, feminist political philosophy, and feminism and individualism. So, very happy to have you here, Tamanna. Um, okay.
Thank you so much, Sukriti.
We can't see you. If you can switch on your. Okay, perfect. So, Tamanna, we were expecting a couple of more people to join. This is a very in the focus, in demand topic, but I think it's a Saturday, so people will be joining in a
Yeah,
bit. We are
yeah.
recording the session, so hopefully people will get to hear you once they do that. But very thankful for you to take out time and be here with us today. Uh, so
Thank you so much.
Thank you. So, Tamanna, before we dive in, just a curiosity question. What propelled you to foray into AI? Your domain had typically been political philosophy and law, right? So, why AI?
Actually, Sukriti, the thing was that I was invited by World Talent Economic Forum to speak on AI. I mean, I'm a regular with them. It's a Bangladesh-based It's a Bangladesh-based research organization, and they talk about AI all every moment. Every session of theirs I attend is on AI. So they
Okay.
kind of trained me into it, and I connected it to feminism because that was my basic interest, since my college time. So, that is why and I'm really interested in science. So,
Mhm.
I read a lot of Donna Haraway and all these people, who speak a lot of science, and they
Okay.
make a lot of sense to me. So, I mean, mixing AI, science, and feminism was what propelled me towards this particular topic. Yeah.
Awesome. Great to know. That's a very good intersection, a rare intersection. Awesome. Okay, so Tamanna, let's just dive in. We'll start with the first topic on ethical implications and bias. So, how do you think AI is reflecting and reinforcing biases in genders, especially when we talk about data sets that lead to sexist outcomes? There have been a lot of talks about hiring algorithms, facial recognition in companies like Google itself being very biased. So, do you think AI can ever be neutral? And is there, or is it just it's just a pipe dream because it's being shaped by the people who design who are inherently biased? What are your thoughts on that?
I feel, Sukriti, that I mean, AI can be gender neutral, it cannot be gender neutral. It depends on who is, like governing it, who is kind of, at the top helm of it, because after all, they're being fed, knowledge. So, they are supposed to do something in a certain way. But if it was, I mean, I'm still to understand if a woman were to, for example, a robot, she was supposed to put AI into a robot, or a man would do it. I'm sure they would do it differently.
That's
They
right.
would, there would be differences. So I guess that's the whole thing. And what we need to understand is that gender differences are there and
Mhm.
are there to stay, but it doesn't mean that we are against each other. We all have to work together to make a world gender free, as in, like, people can shift, as in and when, you're not made to be seen as a woman or a man. You can shift your identities as you want. So as far as robots are concerned, I mean, when operations are being done, etc., and the usage of robots, I mean, I guess there it's going to be gender neutral, because I mean, if it's a heart surgery or it's a cancer surgery or something of that sort. But how comfortable women would be with that has to be recorded, and the data has to be still collected. So I'm looking forward to getting data on that particular aspect. Yeah.
Got it. Listen. So moving to the second topic, that's on representation in tech. You talked about that one of the reasons why the outcomes are very different is because the representation of women gender is less, especially in the fields where we are testing data, developing data, etc. So how do you think, like you briefly did talk about it, but how do you think gender diversity amongst AI developers is shaping AI outcomes?
Yeah.
What's the state today?
Yeah. I feel that, gender AI is going to be looked at by different genders as well as different countries differently. The
Mm-hmm.
cultures itself are going to look at AI differently. For example, if it was Pakistan, I
Mm-hmm.
mean, it would be totally different way of looking at AI. Then, I mean, I feel they can really help. Um, they can help moving towards gender neutrality, because that's what right now we need. Women need not be suppressed in a way that they are not able to um, they are not able to like be behind anything. So what we need is that across cultures we have gender neutral AI, so that we don't have women uh, uh, contextualizing themselves in a different way and men contextualizing themselves in a different way. So what we need is across cultures, across genders, across castes, religion, a neutral AI is there. But what also we need to understand, as Iris Marion Young would say, that justice is difference.
Mm-hmm.
Justice is difference means that you uh, have to recognize that people are different and they will behave differently. So, for example, women biologically, I mean, I'm interested in science because women have a particular biology, which shapes them in a way that it's like it's a major way of looking at things. So, what we need to do is have a gendered perspective to the AI structures. So, what I mean, what women face, for example, oppression, violence, exploitation, those kind of things, as Young would say about five phases of oppression. So these cultural imperialism, for example, these things. So I guess so AI should, I mean, I feel in a way it should be also recognize differences. So those kind of things are there. So I guess it's not so like it really, I mean, we have to really bring a closure, so that we look at differences as well as neutrality. Both of these things should go hand in hand. So yeah.
Got it. So Tamanna, Pushkala had a question. Let's just go back to her.
Tamanna, if you don't mind, I'm not understanding some of these terms, but I got on to when you said that if a report is written by a male or a female using AI, it would be different. Could you think back to your experience and give us an example, please, of what that is? And then again, coming to your next topic again, I would love you to give us some examples.
Okay. So the thing is that the thing is that um what we need to understand is that gender neutrality is something which people want to happen, but it doesn't happen. So what we really need is a gender differences to be recognized, And LGBTQ community needs to be recognized, and these things are there. So many of them are oppressive to women. I mean, they can be oppressive to men as well. I mean, I'm not denying that. I mean, those things are there, but so I guess gender neutrality is something which one aims for, but what really happens is that, because of women's biology, because of women facing so much of exploitation, etc., what we need is a structure which is more uh, gender difference recognizing, believing in gender recognition. So yeah. What was the second question, ma'am?
No, I wanted examples for everything that you're saying, please, because I'm a
Okay.
bit older generation, so I'm finding it a bit hard to visualize exactly what you mean.
Okay.
Please help
Uh,
out with some examples.
okay. Uh, okay. Gender neutrality. I guess gender neutrality would be something. Gender differences means that, you are looking at things in a perspective that um, which is not it's not something which is uh, it's not something which is more the differences have to be recognized. What I'm trying to say, like biological differences which are there between women and men, those have to be recognized. I mean, I guess I'm speaking in a very simple way, because that's what is essential. But there are gender neutral kind of things which talks about the fact that you need a perspective of neutrality as well. So what neutrality would mean is that men and women are same. They do not have any differences. They are, for example, John Rawls, what John Rawls would say, I mean, behind the veil of ignorance, actually Susan Moller Okin added gender, but she picked it up from John Rawls. So according to her, gender neutrality has to be included in the veil of ignorance. So that's what she said. But many multicultural feminists would say no. Postmodern feminists would say no. Subaltern studies would say no. That we have to recognize the fact that gender gender neutrality is not something which is correct. What we need to understand is that women are different from men, their culture is different, their experiences are different, their everything possible, whatever of this scenario is different from men. So that those differences have to be recognized. That's what I'm saying. I hope I could.
Maybe I can give an easy example, Tamanna, a more
Yeah,
relatable one.
yeah.
So, Pushkala, just think of this is just one of those very famous like things that got pointed out when Gemini was being tested by Google. So Google, so someone gave a cue. The prompt that was given was that, can you give us a boardroom picture of Google? Something like that, right? And the prompt created a picture that had all men in the room. It had not a single women representation. Now that was because it was primarily, trained on a historical set of data that had only men, and it failed to recognize that today we have women not as an equal participation, but it still has a 5 or 10% participation in every board. So these are the kind of problems that you see. Apart from that, maybe talk about crime. So earlier, the data sets that were trained, that we started training on, had a huge representation of dark African men. Because again, the data sets were trained on those populations, and whenever we wanted to validate, so supposingly there's a robbery that happened in a particular uh, geography, right? They would typically be biased towards identifying male uh, black men as the perpetrators, despite the fact that they had nothing to do or relate to it, just because they were trained, the algorithms were trained on population that had a deep bias towards a particular section. So what we're also trying, as we kind of become very aware of these problems, we are trying to ensure that the data that we are going to collect is not biased across a particular population, because if you're training on that population, the predictions are also going to be similar in nature. Tamanna, do you want to add to it? These
No, no, it's
these
fine.
different examples, but yeah, just wanted to. Okay. Any more questions from anyone? Okay,
Thank you.
awesome. Okay, so again, coming back to representation in tech, Tamanna, how can feminist theory influence the development of more equitable AI systems?
Yeah. So feminism from the very beginning has been it has the purpose of feminism after enlightenment movement and reformation, etc., and the development of feminism in UK and America was that we have to provide we have to provide voting rights, for example, for women. America, way back in the 1870s, they had Elizabeth Stanton kind of people, who spoke about single women, and the rights of single women. Even right now in India, you'll find it difficult to talk about 1880s, and that's what I'm talking about. 1880s, Elizabeth Stanton, they had a major movement around that particular issue, and I mean, I found that in my study, I found that very interesting, and I brought it out in a major way, in my books, Stanton's work. So I guess so. AI feminism has influenced AI in a way that uh, you have basic uh, you have basic lessons to equality. I mean, what equality means is that men and women should have equal access to AI. For example, if there are two children in a family, and the father has a limited income, so the father is going to choose the boy
Yeah,
child. you
yeah,
know I mean, this might not happen in your or my house, but it is happening. It is
true.
happening. So, I mean, even now these things are happening, and so I guess so. AI. I mean, my personal take would be that. I mean, in my World Talent Economic Forum, I speak a lot about this thing, but basically, that AI has to be equitable to people from the lowest section to the highest section. What Bentham would say that the last person should not be harmed. The last person of the country should benefit. So my purpose would be the government should come in and train people who are not rich enough to, because these courses are pretty expensive. These things can't be achieved like that. So I guess I personally feel that people, these things, due to north south um, coming together, we should be able to bring about a structure whereby people from poor families are also able to train their children. And also, I would say the old people, we are students for life. That's what
True.
I like to say. We are students for life. So people who are older than us and people who are younger obviously are studying all those things, but the poor ones are not. So my purpose is old people and
Mm.
the people who do not have access to money should be able to access AI. And gender, as far as concerned, women should be trained in AI in a very big way. In India, we do have many AI specialists. In fact, Mr. Modi was also talking about a couple days back. So yeah, so that's what I.
Got it. I'll just take one question from Ratna, and meanwhile, can every one of us please switch on our videos? It's good to see people and relate. Ratna, would you want to uh, mention? Yeah, sorry. Over
Yeah,
to you.
okay. I mean, I can. So I should start by saying that I know very little about AI and its interaction with feminism. But since we are talking about these two together, I mean, if we look at ChatGPT, for instance, which is our current, not for most of us, that's what AI is at the moment. It's extremely useful. Now, I was just wondering, because Tamanna is talking about feminist priorities and so on, and men being different from women, but really women are different from each other, men are different from each other, locality, context, education. There can be more commonalities between educated men and women than between less educated women and more educated women. So it's a very complex scenario, and in a similar vein, feminist priorities are actually very different in a developing country. We would highlight things like availability to water, for instance, as much as the need for childcare, which is not the case in the West. So I just had a question to Tamanna, that if we recognize the complexities of, even what does feminism mean, it's a very complex area. So
Yes,
how
ma'am.
would we even begin to try to connect it to AI conversation? Because I really don't know, and I'd love to get an answer to that.
Yes, ma'am. Thank you so much. The thing is that I feel, obviously, in a developing world, we have these problems which you have cited right now, the water and the child care, etc. But, ma'am, the thing is that, we have to um, uh, teach new things to our people. I mean, even if they're poor, I mean, how will they become rich? I mean, if they do not know, I mean, my personal take is that, everybody should be able to learn new technology. And the minute they learn new technology, their status in the society is going to increase. So I guess that is what I'm trying to say. Is, I mean, these problems are there, and the government is working towards it. Developing world, we are connecting with south and south north, um, with each other, and we are trying to take help from others. And I mean, that's what I'm saying. SARC should be very active in these things. I mean, as far as um, AI is concerned, and I mean, many people are working. So I don't want the benefit to go to men only. Why just men or poor men? Even poor men would do better than poor women. So I guess women should be able to, even if they're poor, I mean, they're doing all the household chores. But what we need is that, if they have to earn more, they have to learn new technology. And obviously you can see that, the governments are investing a lot in education right now. And I mean, we have to have the right kind of education, ma'am. My personal take is that. And I mean, I was just reading, just in the morning, Elon Musk has started a school for five of his children. So that kind of privilege, if they have, then, I mean, their children are going to do very well, and our children are not going to do all that well. So I guess poorer people should be taught new technologies as well as the normal social sciences, etc. And connected to AI. And I guess in colleges, for example, when we teach in colleges, what happens is that the government gives them laptops. Poorer sections, they're granted laptops to study, and return it by the time they leave the campus. So I guess that is a whole thing. And I mean, what we need is that, people who are the last in the row should be taught AI. I guess that would help a lot of people to move out of poverty. That's what. Thank you, ma'am.
Yeah, so there's a comment from Gayatri which says that AI is most likely going to lead to a lot of job losses, but we're hopeful that it's also going to create a lot more. The jobs of today would look very different from jobs of tomorrow, but yeah, unless we have AI literacy, etc., I think that's going to be a pipe dream. The poor are going to be poorer unless we're kind of trying to, as Tamanna you mentioned, upskill everyone equally. Okay. Awesome. So moving next, again, we are still in representation in tech, but the last question we have is what barriers do women and non-binary people face in AI industry? And if you could also mention what is non-binary and how do you and how can they be addressed?
Sorry, can you repeat the question?
Yeah. So what barriers do women and non-binary people face in the AI industry and how can they be addressed?
Yeah. So, as far as women and non-binaries are the transgender people, and I mean, because they are the ones who are treated the worstly in India and everywhere. For example, I mean, Trump stopped their being in. He just said there are two
US
genders.
aid has stopped. US
You
aid
know,
has stopped. Yeah, true.
yeah, yeah.
True.
So I guess till the time those things do not stop, we have to teach all of them. In India, for example, transgenders are poorer the country, the more the problems. So I guess what we need is that, transgenders should be equally equipped with this tool so that, I mean, they do not they don't have to go door to door for money and those kind of things. They can operate on themselves, the right kind of um, structures, uh, building their own structures in computers, for example. And so I guess the transgenders and the queer movement would be would do well for themselves. They would not feel upset, or their parents would not feel upset to bring up a transgender child. I mean, those kind of things are there. And I guess to remove inequality amongst the transgenders is a must. So I mean, all human beings, animals, etc., we have to like see that, it's our duty to see that, they are protected, and no violence is committed against transgenders. For example, women, we've talked enough, we know that's what problem they face, but transgenders are not even recognized by their parents. So they have to leave their houses and just move out of the vicinity where they come to know they're transgenders. So I guess if they had the knowledge of technology, nobody could suppress them. So my personal take on transgenders, queer movement would be that.
Right. Okay. Any more questions on this topic? Representation in tech. Else we can move to the next. That is AI in everyday life. So Tamanna, today we see a lot of digital assistants are all female, Siri, Alexa, etc. So how does it lead to social perceptions of gender roles? And is there a reason why they are female to start with?
And probably they're trying to make it more interesting. Like, for example, the robot in Saudi Arabia,
Mhm.
Sophia, I mean, she's being granted the, like, yeah, so it's a citizenship. So I guess that's very interesting. And, like, I guess they are trying to just make it more sassy and interesting, and like something uh, which is more open, and probably trying to show that women are included in AI movement. And the best part is that it's in Saudi, so and these countries are kind of conservative. So I mean, this is a positive movement. I feel it's a good thing. Yeah.
Okay. Okay. Any more questions on
Kriti,
everyday?
I have a comment.
Go ahead. Go ahead.
So, just thinking about a feminist role, a feminist perspective, if both with Alexa or any of these people, you're giving instructions and they're carrying out what you're saying. Does that not reinforce gender values that a woman is there to obey? I mean,
That's a very interesting take.
Yeah, I guess you're right in a way, but probably I guess yeah, you are correct in a way. Yeah, that is right, because I mean women are seen as people who are like taken off order. They take orders, etc. And but what I want, but what you could look from another perspective is also that women are being brought forward. I mean, they are being made to I mean, to be the voice of now. So anybody who's raising the question to them, they are the first ones who are answering the question. So I guess that is also there. So both the things are correct in a way. I mean, I would say that you are also correct, but also that there are several questions which only women would have answer to. So I guess I mean that is also there. So I mean, yeah.
Okay. Any more questions on AI in everyday life? Okay, maybe I can go with the one. So, are the AI-powered tools used in ways that disproportionately surveil or police the marginalized workers? I know you mentioned briefly, but just wanted to hear your thoughts
Yes,
again.
of course, there's a major surveillance system, and that's very troubling. I mean, during the COVID period, I mean, if you looked at China, for example, China had a major surveillance system which was like blocking all the people. I mean, people raised their voices against them, but I mean, so AI surveillance system was majorly put everywhere to see. And surveillance, going back to the book, George Orwell's 1984, The Big Brother, I mean, the way he used to watch is now a reality. I mean, with AI, you are always under watch of somebody, and who that somebody is, the deep state, you know. So those things are there. So I guess, I mean, um and these things are here to stay. And I mean, how much of the fact of nature we have as human beings, we would not like to be surveilled.
Hmm.
We would not like people to come and surveil us, and come up with I mean, bizarre arguments that these things are good. I don't think it's a good thing. And like, but also because of the technology's development, everything is being watched. You are watched every time, every minute. The government has everything of yours, and you can be caught for any issue anytime. So I guess, yeah, that is why surveillance is a major problem. I mean, if you look at Snowden, etc., who brought about many new things, Assange, for example. I mean, they rose their voice, they were whistleblowers. I mean, so that was also because the government was, not in a proper way they were behaving. So, yeah.
Got it. Can you talk more about 1984 Big Brother? I don't know. I wasn't able to relate much about with it. Is there a one-liner that you can explain?
Yeah. Yeah, so it's like the Big Brother is when the two protagonists are in a jail, and they are like, even if they're reading a book, you
Mm-hmm.
know, every line of theirs is being watched.
Okay,
I
that's
mean,
creepy.
somebody
True.
at the back of the at the back is watching them continuously.
Every moment is tracked. Okay,
Yeah, so
that's really
that's a problem, and that's actually happening now. You are being watched. Everything, whatever we are doing right now is being watched. So it's so dangerous.
Yes, yes. I think this is still a recorded frame, so we know that we are being watched. But the fact that tomorrow, when we are like, having just normal conversations and a phone is basically recording or kind of just trying to, like all the AI powered phones are very smart these days. Even if you're like having a normal conversations, they're going to track the voice and then, start putting an instruction at a particular point in time if they see repeated behavior. So things are like very, you're right. Okay. Snima, okay, so got it. Any more comments, questions on this topic? Else, we'll move ahead. Okay. So the last topic we have is intersectionality and global perspectives. So how do you think that AI intersects with race, class, and gender globally? And other examples that you can talk about?
Yeah, so I guess as the world becomes smaller and smaller and more cosmopolitan, the need for AI is increasing. We need more of such technologies whereby people who are being exploited, be it immigrants, be it Algerians in France or Bangladesh. I mean, what do I say about Bangladesh? But what about US? US, for example, they have their very strict policy now for immigrants. You have seen them, deporting people. So I guess we are a multicultural country and multicultural world, and we have come so close. Anything happens in one part of the world, the whole world comes to know immediately. So I guess what we need to do is, I mean, um, with the help of AI, misconceptions about people, about their cultures should be done away with. I mean, there are a lot of lot of problems with regards to like people being told what to do and what not to do. So, I mean, AI can help if people were aware of AI. For example, in the developing world, it's still developing, we are still developing. But in, for example, in America, for example, you had the computers in the 70s and the 80s. Here, it wasn't there. It's only after the 1990s that, our children started going through computers, etc. So I guess even now we need that kind of a structure where AI is taught to people across ages, across gender, culture, structures, etc. And right kind of education is provided so that there is no discrimination on the basis of this particular area. Yeah.
Got it. So there have been a lot of talks. Now, moving to the next question, Tamanna, there have been a lot of conversations where we said that, AI was being used in some sort of activism, etc. Have you seen any positive side of those, especially in terms of is it being used in feminist activism, social justice movements, etc., that are inherently aimed at uplifting the female community?
I guess there is a project actually in India and abroad which is going on the feminist and feminism and AI. I am not remembering the name, but in America, for example, and in India, we have we have projects going on AI and feminism. But as far as you're asking about movements concerned, I don't know much about that because I don't think that's happened as of now. I mean, the whole, very interesting actually. The question is because, the whole structure of movement, feminist movement would change the minute we attack people on AI basis. So you understand, it's going to be a major crisis, for the world, if women were to use AI, and that is going to happen very soon. And I mean, as women get educated in AI, the best possible answer to these kind of questions would be answered, and people would be able to be more um, forthcoming as far as gender equality is concerned.
Got it. Okay, so opening the floor to any more questions on any topics that we discussed. So any closing comments, thoughts from any of us?
I think Ratna had a question.
Okay. We took Ratna's question.
Actually, did. She raised her hand, so
Okay.
There was another one.
Oh, okay.
yeah.
Good, good.
Yeah, actually, I did have a small question, but it's mainly that I'm terribly ignorant about this whole area. But Tamanna sounded very optimistic about AI bringing in multiculturalism, and I didn't really understand how that would happen. I also felt that we are talking about learning how to use. So is that what we should be thinking about, or should we be more ambitious and think not about how to use something given to us, but how to actually shape it? And, so just questions. Yeah.
Yes, ma'am. Actually, you're right. What we need is that we are able to uh, not just s- not just have we have a lot of stakes actually. So it's not just we need to teach them, but also a new structure be formed. So new technologies would be evolving as AI evolves. You have AGI, for example. Many of these things new, which are actually behaving like robots. And they answer questions like humans. AGI. So I guess you have to have the right kind of structures to be formed before we can answer any of these questions first, so that we could help people from across the continents, even people who are not aware at all of what AGI is, or what AI is, or what robotics is. All of them together constitute a technology which is of much use right now. But I guess as far as difficulty with the this thing is concerned, yes, there is a difficulty, because many of us are suspicious that it might just lead to loss of jobs. So I guess that is what we have to see, that like people do not like we don't uh, our basic ideas should be more of coming together and helping each other understand what it is across the ages and cultures, and the ones which are like backward, they should come forward. And I mean, these technologies are not such that they can't be learned. They can be learned. And like so yeah, thank you. Ma'am,
I
you
have a
have
question.
something else to ask? I mean, yes.
So you're saying it should, can I ask a question?
Yes, ma'am.
I'm just saying, so you're saying it should be learned, but it's really an advanced kind of a tool, right? If you don't know the basics, like you were saying, the older lot and the backward or the people who are marginalized should learn it because it helps them. But to get to that stage itself is the whole it's a conflict area. If you don't cross that, AI is like one of the things that has come up now, but if somebody like, say, people on this panel, if we don't even know what AI is, which is true because we don't work with it, how are you going to reach knowing it well enough to work it in your favor?
Ma'am, what I'm basically trying to say is that, all of us, be it of any gender, be it of any class, all of us need to be taught. this particular technology, because it is the technology of the future. So, I mean, if we do not learn it right now, we will be far behind. We will be left far behind. So, I guess, I mean, people who are like, for example, in India, you have all these beggars who are sitting outside. I mean, if the government was considerate enough, and I mean, obviously there are a lot of problems, and I don't want to get into that. But I mean, if these technologies were taught to poor people, don't you think it would be a better world? I mean, they would be able to, able to channelize their energies into something better, and the world can be better with more people learning better technologies, and within 10-15 years, we'll be much ahead of what we are right now.
I agree with that. I'm just saying that the same conversation has been held about, poverty means because they're not educated. That hasn't been crossed yet. So how will you get them into this is like a higher level in some sense, you know?
And
So it's a
so,
big gap.
education. Yeah, I understand what you're trying to say, ma'am. But the thing is that as long as people, they have to be taught, I mean, from the childhood, as well as new technologies have to be instilled into them. So that, education and, I mean, because most of them are not interested in studying. But obviously, that's because of the kind of, area they're living in. So I mean, their whole structure is very different of being.
Can I just m- come in here with a quick comment?
Yes, ma'am.
So I wanted to say I actually disagree with you that poor people are not interested. I also want to say that people have been extremely quick to learn, how to use smartphones and how to use UPI. Everybody is doing UPI transactions and so on. So sometimes technology is actually, it doesn't require the sort of standard writing, reading, that kind of learning. It's a different kind of skill. And what we've seen in slum communities in Delhi is that all young people are using smartphones, they're using apps, so in a way it's easier to learn these new technologies, and it's you can actually leapfrog. So I don't think that's something we need to worry much about. If people can see that there's a use to these things, they will learn it very quickly as they're already doing. But I still, I don't quite understand um, you know, uh, uh, I mean, how is it going to change the world? The world is as it is, and AI is just it, so far at least. What we've seen of it is more as a tool rather than something that's shaping the realities around us. So do you think that's going to happen? Because that's the big scare, right? That it might begin to actually change our world, not just that it makes it easier to negotiate. Anyway, just a couple of thoughts.
Yeah, so I agree what you're saying, but like the fact is that I mean, it will change the world in a way. What we are trying to say is that, for example, the pharmaceutical industries, I mean, so I mean, those kind of industries would really benefit, and I mean, if the prices of medicines would go down, if AI could help pharmaceutical industries, the robots could help the pharmaceutical industries. So people who out here who are sitting outside AIMS and dying, probably that would not happen. If AI was used in the right possible way. So I mean, that's what I would like to say, that many of these things are like of much use, and people who are like trying to go to Mars, they probably might just aim to go to Pluto very soon. So I mean, the science development would be very high if this. I mean, if we were to look at our this thing, the structure of AI. So yeah.
I just want to add one comment here, Ratna. You mentioned about, it shaping the reality, and that's again taking up from what Tamanna mentioned. So, in the age of AGI, right now we are all exploring tools that are generative AI, right? They're trying to create images, content, conversations, etc. But as we move to AGI, that's the artificial general intelligence, where the intelligence is able to achieve human standards, right? That is where, Ratna, you'll see a lot of changes that are like it will shape our reality. So there's this Mustafa Suleiman. He's basically a Microsoft, I think, a very senior person who had just been. He had its own DeepMind company, etc. So what they are trying and talking about things are like there will be a scenario where military, the decisions in terms of where do you want to attack, how do you want to do that, all of that is going to be enabled by machines, not humans, right? And in those scenarios where the decisions are taken by machine, it is an autopilot, things can be very devastating, because then no one's going to talk about emotional impact, etc., because emotion is not something that the tech has been trained on. So that is going to be more of a defining moment. Right now we're still in those early stages of application, and you're right that there are people who are leapfrogging. It's just that they need to know what technology to use. But again, there I would say that women right now, at least the ones who are like, women are not very like, the young generation is going to learn UPI, etc. is easy. People learned it. We're also having a lot of these voice-based apps, right? As a result of which you don't need to understand. It's a low code, no code base. But I still think that women are marginalized because till now there is no need for them, right? Nothing is being stopped if they're not able to learn. But that's one of the reasons why if they don't invest now, they'll be out of the entire game. Yep. Okay. Snima has a question. Snima, do you want to speak your question? You are on a mute. Okay. So Snima's question is, how do you think AI can support women's health? Would that not be a more meaningful link to women in particular and the poor in general?
Well, Sima, the thing is that I mean, women, for example, mostly suffer from mental illness. They suffer from specific diseases like breast cancer, Alzheimer's for everyone, Parkinson disease, etc. Many of these things start affecting people as they grow older. So I guess you have these things like what do you call that? Um, uh, yeah, whatever. So okay, so you have those kind of things which can be of AI can really help the structure of women's health, and early diagnosis and early checking, as well as like having for example, many women, I mean, I'm talking about now as age is increasing, longevity is increasing. Women find themselves increasingly alone, men find themselves increasingly alone, so they can have Eliza, for example, to help them, those kind of things, robots helping them, which would their prices should be reduced, for example. And I mean, my basic purpose is that as India as a welfare state, we should decrease the price of these instruments, so that people are able to use these techniques for their benefit. For example, I know many of my aunts, for example, they stay alone. So I mean, they keep their helps, for example, to be with them, to talk to somebody. They don't have anybody to talk to, so they want somebody to talk to. So I mean, if robots could be those helpers, that would be of great help. So yeah, this is what I like to say.
Pushkala, did you have any question? Your screen was lighting up. That's the reason I'm. Okay.
I just shifted my position a little bit
Oh,
because I've been sitting for a long time.
Okay, so then I think this is it. But thank you so much, Tamanna. Very engaging discussion on a very large variety of topics from healthcare, everyday AI, representation, feminism, ethics. So thank you so much for taking out time and everyone for contributing. Yeah, that's.
Thank you, Sukriti, for taking this session on. And thank you, Tamanna, for, yeah, again, an engaging session. And I'm sure we are going to put up this recording on our website. It'll be up soon. And I'm sure there'll be many more people and they've missed out on this talk with
Thank you
you,
so much,
the
ma'am.
session with
Thank
you.
you so
And
much.
they are, yeah, I'm sure they would like to reach out and take this further when they do go through the recording of the session.
Sure.
Thank you,
Thank
Sukriti.
you.
Thank
Thank
you.
you.
Thanks,
Thank you,
everyone.
everyone.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thanks.